Hello there. It is I are Smart. I have spent the last couple months or so making my way through the show Star Wars Resistance. Star Wars Resistance. Now you may be asking yourself, I are Smart, why did it take you months to watch a series that only has 2 seasons? You could have knocked this out in a weekend. The answer is because, you see, I am usually pretty good with motivating myself to do stuff, but any time I thought to myself, hey, I should watch another episode of Star Wars Resistance, I would think of literally anything else I could possibly do. Because my goodness, is this show just hard to get into. It's like, oh my goodness, I nearly fell asleep in like the first 5 episodes. It was just so boring, my goodness. Like, I don't mean to, I don't want to understate it. It's just so hard to get into the first couple episodes. Just nothing happens of interest. Like, at the beginning, like, the first, 5 minutes of the first episode, you're like, oh, this might be kind of neat. And then it just drags on for, all of Season 1. Finally, at the end, it gets interesting. And Season 2's better. But it's just such a hard show to watch, really. And it really isn't much of a surprise to me why this only got 2 seasons, because it's just hard to watch, man, really. I'm going to go off the assumption that most of you haven't seen this. But and so you're probably not familiar, it is a Star Wars series. You know, it was on Disney XD years ago, I don't know when, 2018 and 2019, so right around time sequel trilogy was going on. And it takes place, before Episode 7, and then during Episode 7, then after Episode 7, and during Episode 8, and then after Episode 8. That's the whole time span of this series. So it's pretty interesting. It does flesh out some more of the sequels, a bunch of stuff we didn't get fleshed out in the movies, gets fleshed out in this show. So that's nice, at least, but it's so hard to watch for some episodes. My goodness, it gets better. It gets better, I will say that at least, but just, nah. I don't know what I was expecting going into this show, really. I was just like, oh yeah, that's a Star Wars show, I haven't watched a single episode of it, maybe I should watch it. And then I did, and it took me a while. But I knew I wanted to make this video, so I could tell you about it, but, overall, there were some things I liked about it. It's Star Wars, but also some parts of it just don't feel like Star Wars at all. Because, the first half of Season 1 is just, there aren't wars. It's just Star Wars without the wars. There's no wars. There's nothing going on. It's just people hanging out on this station, and they're like, it's racing time, we're gonna go race. And I would think that would be cool, like a Star Wars show about, people flying around in, their custom spaceships that they built themselves, and they're all racing. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. It's like the movie Cars, but Star Wars. That'd be cool, but no. It's not like the movie Cars, because it's boring. I don't know how they make it boring, but they do. It's literally just, the first half of Season 1 is just about Kaz, and he's alright, so Kaz is our main character, right? He's in, the New Republic, and then he's like, oh, I want to join the Resistance. So he meets Poe Dameron, who's actually voiced by Oscar Isaac. My goodness. He actually shows up in this show. That's cool. And he's just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm Poe. How's it going? You want to join the Resistance? He's like, yeah, I want to join the Resistance. This is cool. I'm going to go fight the First Order. He's like, yeah, I need you to be a spy. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want to be a spy. And he's like, yeah, you're just going to live on the station and pretend to be a mechanic. And that's what he does. That's literally what he does. He just pretends to be a mechanic for all of Season 1 until the First Order decides that they're gonna show up. So anyway, he's there and he's all like, hey everyone, my name's Kaz. I'm a spy. I mean, I'm a mechanic. I'm totally not a spy. No, I have absolutely no affiliation to the Resistance whatsoever. Yeah, I'm totally a spy, guys. Yeah. I'm not a spy. I mean, I'm totally a mechanic. Yes, I am a mechanic. My name is Kaz. Kaz, not from the Resistance. That's my full name. Kaz, not from the Resistance. And everyone's like, okay, how are you this bad at being a mechanic? Because then he just, pretends to be a mechanic, and then the 2 characters, Tam and Niku, who are actually mechanics, are like, dude, what the heck? You don't know anything? And he's like, well, I can, fly. And then he's also bad at that, too. But to be fair, they literally give him a ship that's called the Fireball, which just doesn't work. So, until Season 2, when they just decide, oh yeah, it works now. because, I don't know, like, all season 1, they're like, yeah, this ship doesn't work, and anytime he tries to fly it, it doesn't work and breaks, and they have to fix it. And then season 2, it just works, and he flies it around all the time, so I don't know. Anyway, there's also Tam, so Kaz is in the green there, that's him, and just by the art style of this show, he's, like, taller and skinnier than I am. Like, basically just take me, but just stretch me out even thinner, and that's Kaz for you. I don't know why the characters look like that in the show. Whatever. There's Tora, who is literally like the ace pilot, and the daughter of the guy named Captain Doza, and he's like in charge of this station called the Colossus. Sorry, I'm jumping all over. I forgot to mention the plot to you. Anyway, it's this station, and people do racing here, and it's like a refueling station in the middle of nowhere. But for whatever reason, it keeps getting attacked by pirates. And these pirates are cool. I hate all of them, but they're cool. I hate them because none of the characters are interesting, and I don't care about them, and they're just generally annoying. But second of all, they all have, like, Imperial armor that's, like, scrapped together, and it looks like, it's just so cool. And their, like, ship is just scrapped together with, like, parts from an AT-AT and an Imperial shuttle, and, like, all these things. It's really cool. I love the design of the pirate ship that they have. It's really cool, and I like the art style that it goes with, but the pirates just suck. I don't like them. They do have, like, Stormtrooper armor, though, on a couple of them, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the pirates keep attacking the station, and then the captain's like, oh my gosh, this sucks. We keep getting attacked by pirates. And then you have this, instead of you know how Captain Phasma's silver? You have this guy called Captain Pyre, who's gold. And he just shows up and he's like, hey man, hey Doza, you wanna join the First Order? It's pretty cool, you know, you should join the First Order. We're pretty chill, and we'll, like, help you from these pirate attacks. And he's like, nah, I got my aces, and they're all good, which are the people who are just race. They, like, race around in these rings, and Kaz is like, wow, I wanna be an ace. And then he just gets to be one later, because why not? Anyway, so, he's like, oh, dang, I wanna race with them, and he tries racing with them and fails miserably. But then he's like, oh my gosh, we have to defend the station against pirates, and they have to defend the station against pirates, and everything goes perfectly fine. But then it just keeps happening, and it works fine for them every time. But then the First Order is like, you keep getting attacked by pirates. Guess we gotta put troops on your station now. And Doza's like, guess I gotta have stormtroopers in the station now. Which finally, you actually have the First Order show up in this show. So there's actually, like, conflict. Even though it's like halfway through season 1. But whatever. And you got all this going on. Then you got Yeager, who's like, just like this old guy who used to be in the Rebel Alliance. But now he's just like, kind of sort of friends with some people in the Resistance, and they're like, hey, we're gonna send you this spy kid named Kaz, and then he, like, just hangs out with him. And then they get to, Yeager's cool. I like Yeager. He's alright. Yeah, he kind of grows on you. Same with Kaz. Kaz is just annoying at first, but at least he's not as bad as Ezra. Like, at least, maybe it's just because I don't have to deal with Kaz as much. I have to deal with Ezra for 4 seasons. I don't have to deal with Kaz for 2. But they're pretty much the same character, where they're just annoying and childish. And, I don't know, Kaz is more tolerable. I would prefer Kaz over Ezra, because I just hate Ezra. Like, seriously, he's the worst. And at least Kaz doesn't turn into a Jedi. That's an interesting thing about the show. There are, like, no Jedi. There are a couple mentions of the Force, and, like, at the very end of Season 2, Kylo Ren just makes an appearance in a hologram as, like, hey, I'm the Supreme Leader. And that's literally it. But, like, there's no Force in this show. Which is really interesting. It's a really cool concept that, we have, like, a Star Wars thing that says, oh my gosh, no, come back. There we go. We have a Star Wars show that doesn't have to have the Force in it, so that's cool. It's just, I'm glad they did that. Also, did I mention the show was made by Dave Filoni? Yeah, same guy who made, like, parts of The Mandalorian, and, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars The Bad Batch, Star Wars Rebels. He also made Star Wars Resistance, because Star Wars animation is, well, kind of his thing. So, but he's doing live action now with, The Mandalorian, so. But anyway, Star Wars Resistance, it is what it is. Sorry, I forgot to mention other characters. BB-8 is there for, like, most of Season 1, and then Poe decides, hey, we have to go, be in The Force Awakens now, so I'm taking BB-8 from you, because he was just hanging out with Kaz in the Colossus for a while, but whatever. Then you have, Tora. I think I mentioned her. She's like the daughter of Captain Doza, who's like in charge of the Colossus, because some reason he is, I don't know. Anyway, so she's like really good at flying and stuff. And, yeah, and then she becomes friends with Kaz, I think. Yeah, then we have Niku. Niku I absolutely despised for like the first couple episodes, but now I actually like him. He's actually kind of cool. Yeah, because he's just like the character where it's like, where Kaz is like, "Hey, Nico, can you give me a hand?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, Kaz, I physically cannot take off my hand and give it to you, but I can do so." And he's like, and Kaz is just like, "Nico, I'm asking for your help." And he's like, "Oh, okay, I can do that." He's one of those characters, which I absolutely despise it when they write characters like that, because I hate it. It's so annoying. People aren't actually that dumb. Stop making characters like that. Oh my god, it just annoys me. But anyway, he's just the takes everything literally kind of character. But he does kind of get better towards Season 2 and more, tolerable. And actually kind of cool. I actually ended up liking Nico towards the end, which surprised me, because I thought I would just despise him the whole show. Anyway, then we have Tam. Tam's actually interesting, because she actually has conflict, and she's like, "Hey, the Resistance really isn't that cool." And then she joins the First Order at the end of Season 1. But then the entire time she's in the First Order, she's just depressed, and they're like, "Oh, I feel so bad for joining the First Order." And then everyone in the First Order is like, "Hey, you're pretty cool." And then she's like, "No, I'm really awful, I shouldn't be here." And then she decides to go back to her friends at the end of it, so whatever. And don't worry about spoilers, you're really not missing much. I can just give you a plot synopsis of this whole show and it'll be better. Anyway, who else is in this show? Let's see, you got all these episodes in Season 1. It doesn't really start getting interesting until here. It's not until 11 and 10, around then, where they actually start doing spy-related things, they go look at First Order bases and, actually have to fight the First Order, kind of like what they were doing. And then after that, it just goes back to, regular shenanigans on the Colossus, where they're like, "Oh no, the thing broke, we have to go fix it." And, yeah, it just gets boring. And then, the pirates show up, they have this whole plot where, one pirate, infiltrates, she's Sonara or whatever, she infiltrates the thing, the Colossus, and then leads to a pirate attack again, and then now that's becomes an excuse for the First Order to take over the station. And then at the end of Season 1, the First Order just full on shows up and is like, "Hey, we're taking your station, Doza." And then also Doza used to be an Imperial for some reason, but then he just didn't become an Imperial, which is kind of cringe, man. Whatever. So he's just there, and then and then they realize, "Hey, the Colossus can actually fly," and then just goes up in the air and starts flying around in space. And that's what they do for Season 2. They just run away from the First Order for the whole time. And yeah, that's Season 2. They just run from the First Order, which it's a recurring trend. I don't know why. It's not they're that scary or anything. They're just the Empire, but they're if the First Order is just great value of the Empire. Seriously. The Empire is way cooler. I will still prefer the First Order over the Resistance, but First Order is just, it's boring, man. I do like how this season does kind of flesh out the First Order, because in the actual movies, the First Order just seems kind of boring. They don't really do anything. They just kind of are there, and they feel like a copy of the Empire. But this, they actually have more character to them, because they have more time to actually, be a thing. So, they actually have screen time in this movie. Not movie, TV show, but whatever. Season 2 is alright. There's stuff that happens. None of it's really that interesting. Just feels kind of disjointed. But then the First Order shows up again. Yeah, when the First Order isn't going on, nothing makes sense. If the First Order is there, it's good stuff. If the First Order isn't there, they don't know what they're doing. And it's just bad. It's just bad. And there's a bunch of battles. There are some cool ones. Yeah, anyway, finally, I'm going to just go over all the characters that I know of. We're first going to do characters I don't care about. Characters that are just boring and I don't like. So first off, we got Agent Tierney. She's just the agent of the First Order who's tasked with getting the Colossus, essentially, because the First Order needs it for something. I don't really know, man. So then we got, not Plo Koon. I don't know this guy. Rucklin, I hate him. He's just annoying and he's blonde. We have this alcoholic, Bebo, who's a tentacle monster. We have Greedo, but he's annoying. Captain Phasma, doesn't need to be mentioned. There's this dog thing called, Buggles. Oh my gosh, I hate him. Gives me nightmares, really. There's these kids. They just keep showing up, and they're annoying, and I hate their voices, and I don't want to hear them anymore. There's this Russian chick. I didn't think there were Russians in space, but apparently there are Russians in space. What do you know? All the pirates, I already mentioned them. I hate them all. There's this Furby. At least I think he looks like a Furby. It's this egg bird, but with legs, and he's also gay, which I don't know. I mean, good for him, I guess. And then also his husband is a pig. They're just a couple, which is cool, I guess. We got aliens, but the guy is a Furby, and he gives me nightmares. I don't know what it is, but the creepy art style of this show mixed with weird character design just gives me nightmares, seriously. It's weird, man. And you have this old lady with just, like, face paint. She shows up for, like, a couple episodes in the end of Season 2. The rest of the members of the Resistance, I don't care about. And finally, we have, Your Mom. So, moving on to characters that I do care about, we have Tora. She's actually cool. She actually has, like, interesting character development and whatnot of, you know, going from just, like, oh, I'm gonna be a racer to, hey, maybe I can be better and, like, actually help people and whatnot. Whatever. She, like, has a small character arc. Captain Doza is cool. He's just, like, a moral, like, rock. I don't know how to describe it. He's, like, just a strong point in the show. He's one of the better characters that just makes sense, I think, and actually is interesting. Kaz kind of grew on me, or like I mentioned already. He goes from being super dumb and annoying to, Poe, I don't know. He's cool. I like him. He's in the movie. That's cool. Yeager, I like Yeager. He's like the father figure to both Tam, Niku, and Kaz, and I think he's really good. I like his character. Tam is cool. I like her character arc of joining the First Order, but then leaving the First... I don't know. I think she should have just stayed in the First Order, because they're way cooler, but whatever. She had to go join the good guys. I don't know, whatever. Next we got Niku. I already mentioned Niku. I kind of like him. Major Von Reg. We get this TIE Fighter pilot who wears all red, and like he has a red TIE interceptor. He's the coolest guy. I love him, and I was so sad when he died. Oh my goodness. Leia shows up for a bit. That's pretty cool. BB-8's there for a bit, and then he has to go, you know, be in the Force Awakens and meet Rey and whatnot. Who actually doesn't make an appearance in this show. I was kind of upset about that. I was hoping Rey would be in this show, but whatever. It's not like it's about, you know, the sequels or anything, but whatever. Anyway, we next have CB-23, who's just BB-8, but a girl droid, because yeah. Also, there are a couple battle droids that show up, which is cool, because they have the Clone Wars battle droid voice, which I absolutely love. We have Commander Pyre, who's like gold stormtrooper. He's pretty cool. There's this one guy that always tries to clean the floors. Yeah, he literally just like scrubs the floors, and everyone just runs on his floors, and he's like, dude, what the heck? I'm trying to clean the floors, but everyone's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, that guy's great, and he does not deserve all the torment he goes through. General Hux is pretty cool. He shows up. He actually does his speech, like animated from like his Force Awakens speech, but he does it. And actually, in this show, he isn't like how he is in Episode 8 and Episode 9. He's the way he is in Episode 7, which is actually intimidating and cool. Instead of being a dumb buffoon, he says, I'm the spy. So, thankfully, this is pre, you know, Episode 8 and Episode 9 Hux. Whatever. Kylo Ren is there. He shows up and says, hey, I'm the Supreme Leader. And then does this cool thing, right? Where he, like, takes Agent Tyranny and Commander Pyre, and then he makes, like, uses the Force to, like, have them aim their guns at each other. It's crazy, man. I absolutely love that scene. Griff is this guy who was, like, an ex-TIE Fighter pilot, but then he becomes one of the aces. He and Tora are, like, the only aces I actually care about. Tora because she's actually a character, and Griff isn't actually a character. He says, like, a couple lines of dialogue, but he's just, you know, he was in the Empire, so that makes him cool. And then finally we have any and all Stormtroopers, because even though they are First Order, they're still Stormtroopers, and they still have a special place in my heart. So anyway, yeah, that's Star Wars Resistance for you. It was okay. I don't recommend watching it. Normally, I like when I review something, I recommend like, hey, you should watch like the frickin' TV again. There we go. Normally, when I review shows, I recommend like, hey, you should watch this. This one is like you can pass it up. Really, you don't. If you really want to watch it for the sake of it being Star Wars, you know, there you go. But it's really not worth it, man. It's just kind of hard to watch. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Star Wars Resistance and why you shouldn't watch it. I did the hard work of watching it so that you don't have to. I ran so that you could walk, okay? I put the effort and time in to watching this show. And I did it for you. So I think that deserves a like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.